Happy Friday the 13th, my friends. And prepare yourselves as I bring to you a re-review of the classic 1980 flick itself, Friday the 13th. Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name is Dual, better known to you as the Big D, and this time around I bring to you a re-review of the 1980 slasher flick, Friday the 13th, released by Paramount, produced and directed by Sean S. Cunningham, written by Victor Miller, starring Betsy Palmer, Adrienne King, Harry Crosby, Laurie Bartram, Mark Nelson, Jeannine Taylor, Robbi Morgan, and Kevin Bacon. Its plot follows a group of teenage camp counselors who are murdered one by an unknown killer while attempting to reopen an abandoned summer camp. Now, originally it was released by Paramount here in the US, while it was released internationally by Warner Brothers. After the success of John Carpenter's Halloween a couple years before this was released in May of 1980. The film's critical response was divided, but however, it was a big success against its $550,000 budget. And its success led to a long series of sequels, a crossover film, and everything. So now, if you're ready, let's get into our story. In 1958, at Camp Crystal Lake, counselors Barry Jackson and Claudette Hayes sneak inside a storage cabin to have a little sex, where an unseen assailant murders them. In the present day, 1979, camp counselor Annie Phillips is driven halfway to the reopened Camp Crystal Lake by Enos, a truck driver, despite warnings from elderly Crazy Ralph and disgusted reactions from the townspeople. Yep, that's one of the characters I think everybody likes. It. That's Crazy Ralph. You're going to Camp Blood, ain't you? You'll never come back again. It's got a death curse. Just thought I'd give you my little impression. Okay, now where was I? Oh, yes. While driving, Enos warns Annie about the camp's troubled past began with a young boy drowning in the lake in 1957. After being dropped off, she hitches another ride from an unseen person who drives her past the camp. When Annie escapes, the killer chases her into the woods and slashes her throat. At the camp, counselors Ned, Jack, Bill, Marcy, Brenda, and Alice, along with owner Steve Christie, refurbish the cabins and facilities. As a thunderstorm approaches, Steve leaves the campground to stock supplies. Ned sees someone walk into a cabin and follows, while Jack and Marcy have sex in one of the cabin's bunk beds. As they are unaware of Ned's body above them, his throat having been slit, which that's kind of a big downside because we don't get to see that happen. It was all off screen, darn it. So when Marcy leaves to use the bathroom, Jack's throat is pierced with an arrow from beneath the bed, which that was really freaky. The killer follows Marcy into the bathroom and drives an axe into her face. When Brenda turns in for the night, she hears a little boy's voice calling for help and ventures outside into the archery range where the lights turn on. And she screams. Later, Steve returns and recognizes the unseen killer who stabs him to death. Alright, now I'm going for the final act and the ending. As always, you know the procedure. You have 5 seconds to stop this video. Go to the description box below. Fast forward to the time below. If you've seen the movie already, please continue. Okay, you've been warned. Worried by their friends' disappearances, Alice and Bill leave the main cabin to investigate. They find the axe in Brenda's bed, the phone's disconnected, and Ned's truck inoperable. When the power goes out, Bill goes to check on the generator, and Alice heads out to look for him and finds his body pinned with arrows to the generator room's door. She flees to the main cabin to hide, only to be traumatized further when Brenda's body is thrown through the window. Soon after, Alice sees a vehicle pull up and rushes outside. Thinking of Steve, instead, she is greeted by a middle-aged woman who claims to be an old friend of Steve and his family, Mrs. Voorhees. She reveals that her son Jason was the young boy who drowned in 1957, blaming his death on neglect by the counselors because they were having SEX instead. Revealing herself as the killer, she attempts to kill Alice, but she knocks her unconscious. At the shore, Mrs. Voorhees tries to kill Alice again with a machete, but Alice gains the advantage and decapitates her. Exhausted, Alice boards and falls asleep inside a canoe that floats out on Crystal Lake. Suddenly, Jason's decomposing corpse attacks her, at which point she awakens in a hospital surrounded by a police sergeant and medical staff who are tending to her. When when Alice asks about Jason, the sergeant says there was no sign of any boy, and she says, then he's still there, as the lake is shown with ripples in the water. End of story. So, what did I think of Friday the 13th? Well, I think a lot of you know this is easily one of my favorite films from 1980, the year I was born. Well, I have to say, it was just so good. Sure, it had some issues though, but and its moments, but nevertheless, it was still a good film. Well, it is one of my top 5 favorite films in the franchise. I'm just gonna say it's not too bad. Now, the critics praised the film's cinematography and the score, which was done by Harry Manfredini. Yes, I gotta give props for that. But however, numerous other critics derided it for its depiction of graphic violence. But nevertheless, the film was a success, and it would go on to make 59 million worldwide. It became the 8th highest grossing film of 1980, facing competition from other high profile horror releases such as The Shining, The Fog, and Prom Night, all of which I've seen, and Dress to Kill, which I have not seen. I've heard of it though. If I can find it, I'll look into it. Now, this was one of the 17 films distributed by Paramount that year, and only one returned more profits than this, and it was Airplane. Anyway, yeah. Yeah. Still, overall, the original Friday the 13th is the highest grossing film in the franchise to date. Going to have numerous sequels and a crossover with Nightmare on Elm Street and Freddy vs. Jason, as well as a reboot in 2009. Now they're going to try and do this again. They're still, well, they're saying it is, and I'd like to believe that. And I sort of in a way do. So anyway, it was really good. Now I have seen the theatrical version we saw, which was rated R, but soon I got the special unrated uncut version, and it has 11. But although it only has 11 seconds of previously unreleased footage, so with more extended takes on Annie's no, and Jack's kills. I got to see how the kills were actually done and what have you. But anyway, now the cast of characters were not too bad. Now I like Betsy Palmer as Mrs. Laurie. She did real good. Adrienne King plays Alice. Very good. Harry Crosby plays Bill. And yes, he's son to the legendary Bing Crosby. Yep, you better believe it. I didn't even know that myself until I heard about in a documentary. Jeannine Taylor plays Marcy. She was good. Laurie Bartram played Brenda. Good. Kevin Bacon in a little bit of a bigger, well, role and what have you in ways. Consider Adrienne had a bit of a small appearance in National Lampoon's Animal House a couple of years before this. Played Jack. Mark Nelson played Ned. Robbi Morgan played Annie. Pierre Brower played Steve Christie. Rex Everhart played Enos, the truck driver. We also have Ron Carroll as Sergeant Tierney and Walt Gorney as Crazy Ralph. And while we just see him in flashbacks, Ari Lehman plays Jason, who would be the killer starring with the sequel. Anyway, I think Friday the 13th has its moments in a few issues, but nonetheless, I think it was still good. Though. So with everything said, would I recommend Friday the 13th? Answer: hell yeah. Definitely. Now, I will do re-reviews of the sequels. Now, unlike what I've done with those, I'll be re-reviewing them in separate videos. Considering I had done the second and third films together, then 4, 5, and 6 together in one vid, and 7 and 8 together. But next time they're going to be done re-reviewed separately. So bear with me, okay? So anyway, what are your thoughts on the original Friday the 13th? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. And stay tuned for my Saturday morning TV log on Pro Stars coming up tomorrow. So thanks for watching, and if you like this, check out these other films. In the upper left-hand corner is my re-review of the original Halloween from 1978. The upper right-hand corner is my review of one of my favorite slasher films from the 90s, that being Scream from 1996. Or if you'd like, which I don't know if I'm going to do a re-review of yet, go to the bottom left-hand corner and see my original review of the original Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984. And the bottom right-hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya. And happy Friday the 13th again.